Good morning. It is early. I don't know what time it is. It's 10:30, so it's kind of early. Most everybody's working. But I wanted to do a live about a couple things. First off, I gotta clear up something from my last video because I don't know why I completely forgot to include this tool. But so my last video about tethering, if you have a small dog, especially a small dog, or a dog that is super hyper, I recommend definitely, if you have a hyper dog, you need to exercise it. So that would take that down some. Use a harness. So for my last video, I talked about tethering and the different types of tools you can use while tethering. A lot of them were collar type tools. But if you have a little dog, make sure you use a harness. And if you have a dog that's going to be pulling a lot, either definitely make sure your collar type that you use is fitted properly, because if you don't, they can injure themselves. So just wanted to clear a little bit up with that last video. I completely 100% forgot to mention a harness, and someone commented and said, "Oh, I would use a harness," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot that." So there you go. Now on to what the live is about: coffee, tea. So in yesterday's paper, this was the Columbus Dispatch. There is a small article that was brought over from the New York Times, I guess. And airlines, veterans railed by conduct of unbecoming a support dog. Basically, it talks about how a veteran had an issue getting on a flight because of a support dog. And oh hey, I got a package too. I can do that. And it really sucked, because they questioned his actual dog, like if his dog was a real service dog or not. But the article reads, it seemed, in retrospect, a bit of a low point. A medium-sized dog racing through an airplane at 30,000 feet, spraying diarrhea towards passengers throughout the cabin. Okay, first off, if you are a legit handler, you know you're gonna withhold your dog's food for a certain amount of time before your flight. That's just common sense. I mean, if you're flying with an animal, you're gonna want to withhold food for a certain period of time. That way, you don't risk the dog, messing on the plane. There are all these relief areas as well when you go. Well, there aren't all these. There's not very many relief areas. There's some relief areas that you can stop at before you get on the plane. Of course, you're going to do that too. But know your dog's pals. I know when Luna poops. Luna poops twice a day. She poops 3 times a day. She poops the first thing in the morning when she goes out. She comes in, she eats. And then I let her back outside about a half hour later, and she poops again. Then she poops one more time right before dinner, and then she eats her dinner. So I know my dog's bowel schedule. Like, it just, I don't know. It continues. But according to some transportation officials, it was an increasingly typical scene. This is an increasing typical scene that has stemmed from the growing use of comfort animals on planes. Comfort animals, I think they mean emotional support, I'm going to assume. I would hope, anyway. A situation that some injured veterans say is making it harder on them. Yeah, it's making it harder on them. It's making it harder on all of us, even in everyday situations like walking into the grocery store with our service animal. Continuing on. The airline industry, which has been working to curb the number of comfort animals on board, has recently found an ally among the nation's war wounded. Some veterans and service dog organizations say the overuse of untrained dogs, pigs, rodents, amphibians, and at least one small sloth as emotional support. Okay, what is a sloth gonna do? But at the same time, like, that's an exotic animal, I think. What is sloth? Is a sloth a marsupial? I have no idea what the sloth is. I don't think it's an exotic animal. If you can. Not in any sort of category. They're not a marsupial because they're not pouched animals. Oh, that's true. They're not monkeys either. No, I think primate. Different thing. Sloths are just sloths. Sloths are. They're their own category. I mean, a sloth is a sloth and it moves extremely slow, so I don't know what a sloth is going to do on a plane, but I don't know. Anyway, those are listed as emotional supports. If you're just joining, I'm going through an article that was in the Columbus Dispatch yesterday that talks about a dog spewing diarrhea towards passengers, a medium-sized dog, throughout the cabin. And how it is making it increasingly hard for veterans and others who have legit service animals to get on a plane or to take their animal anywhere. Anyway, I just listed some things that were listed as emotional support animals, and one of them was a sloth. As emotional support companions has made it difficult for veterans to get acceptance for the properly trained service animals. Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to be flying in the next year, and I am worried and terrified that I am not going to be able to get Luna on a Southwest flight. Apparently, Southwest is very accommodating and very, what's the word? I guess I just want to use the word accommodating. Very accommodating towards disabled passengers, which I've seen firsthand because I usually just fly Southwest. I flew Spirit one time, like 2 years ago. Yeah, no, never again. I didn't have Luna at the time, but I can only imagine if I had Luna. If you hear crinkling, I have a package sitting here, which I'm going to do after I finish this article. And my cat is on it. Anyway, it continues. Jason Hang, a retired Marine captain who runs an organization that matches service dogs to veterans, ooh, that's awesome, said he was barred from a flight with his dog because airline workers didn't believe it was a legitimate service animal. Probably because they experienced something like what was occurring at the beginning of this article. He said that ill-behaved support animals, which have not undergone the rigorous training that service dogs receive, make it harder for us to gain access, quotation marks. With dogs who have veteran may not have visible disabilities. He goes on to say, my dog is specifically trash trained to help with flashbacks, Hag said. I do not have any physical injuries that you can see. It does make it more difficult to say what my dog is for. We all run into that. A lot of us run into that, right? Because we don't have anything physical going on with us that you can see. It's annoying. Over 80 veterans and disability groups recently wrote to Elaine Chao, the Secretary of Transportation, seeking new rules that would require the emotional support animals be trained if allowed on planes. Okay. I mean, I have an emotional support animal. It's Karma. Karma's been my emotional support animal for years. Have I ever taken her on a plane with me? No. Could I have taken her to California when I flew to California years ago so she was emotional support? Yes. But did I? No, because she, at the time, would have been very ill behaved. She would have been barking at anything with fur and 4 legs. No. Otherwise, nowadays she's quiet and just lays around because she's old, but no. Have common sense. I think this is my thing. Have common sense. If you have an emotional support animal, number one, are you going to be able to remain in control? This is like stipulations that I feel should be put in place. Actually, hold up. Let me finish this article, and then we'll go into that. Because I'm almost done with it. Anyway, rules that will require the emotional support animal to be trained if allowed on planes. A number of websites offer certification for support animals for a fee. States and businesses have begun to fight the Okay. I can't read it. Proliferation of their use. There needs to be standards to hold people accountable, like I was going into, and I'm going to go into, said Lori Stevens, the founder of the Patriot Paws, which works with Texas prisoners to train service dogs for veterans. I have heard of that group, and that is awesome. That they do that. I love that that they're allowing prisoners in prison systems to train these dogs under guidance, I'm assuming, or I would hope anyway. But that's the article. The article just abruptly kind of ends. It doesn't really finish itself out. But that's just the article that was in Sunday's paper. So, touching on the note that they should require emotional support animals to be trained if it's allowed on planes. Do I feel that there should be some kind of test that it should pass? No. Do I feel that the handler should have enough common sense? Number one, am I going to be able to control my dog or animal this entire flight, and how long the flight's going to be? Does this dog or animal need to be in a carrier? Because for emotional support animals, you can take them in a carrier, usually a soft-bodied carrier of some type, if I can't control it. If it's a dog, is it going to be barking constantly throughout the flight? So, the reason I say no is because if you're traveling that much with an emotional support animal, I'm wondering why you don't have a service dog. I guess if you're taking that animal with you pretty much everywhere, there's a deeper need for that. So, are you disabled in some way and you just don't know the information that's needed for a service animal? Maybe not. Or yeah, there are those certain classes of people who feel entitled and that they can take their baby with them wherever they go. So it's kind of a fine line. So I feel, use common sense. And that's kind of what's already implied. Are you using common sense with your animal that you're going to take on a plane? Obviously not, because we have a dog that's spewing diarrhea everywhere. We've had someone walk into an airport with a peacock on their shoulder. So common sense has been thrown out the window at that point, I guess. So in the end, yes. Let's have some kind of test for emotional support animals, whether that they need to pass. What that would be, I don't know. Or, hey, comment, let me know. What do you feel? Do you feel emotional support animals should have to pass some kind of a test to fly? Do you feel that emotional support animals should not have the right to fly at all now? What are your opinions on it? Give a comment down below, or if you want to comment right now, I'll read a few of them. There's only a couple of you on here, never mind. Hi, Prince. Hi, Hank. Anyway, you don't think ESAs should fly? ESAs make it. In my personal opinion, I feel ESAs make it harder for legit service dogs to fly because of that stuff. Spewing diarrhea at 30,000 feet. I'm 50-50 on whether they should fly or not, because I have a friend who has an ESA, and her ESA has flown and has been perfectly fine. It's a Chihuahua mixed dog, and flew fine, didn't have any issues, didn't bark at anybody, nothing like that, and just fell asleep on the plane. I think they should be able to, but should not be aggressive, sick, or reactive to people or animals. That's a good point, Hank, but at that point you're getting into service dog behavior. It's like you're slapping. You can't expect an emotional support animal that hasn't had any formal training, and I think that's the point of this article too, to be well behaved. So at that point, if we're setting that kind of standards for emotional support animals to be able to fly, the animal might as well be a service dog at that point. So do I feel that there are certain, do I feel like the dog should not be aggressive, let's just say regressive, or aggressive, towards like a people or another animal? Sure. Can it be reactive, where it's going to bark? And that's what I mean by reactive, bark. Okay, so we let it be reactive. That's going to be really annoying, but, you can't set that high of standards for something that's labeled emotional support. Also. Yeah. You're right. Each individual airline has its own specific for emotional support. They have to go through and say, if you want to bring an emotional support dog on this flight, it has to pass the CGC. They can do that if they want. Yeah. I think they should. That's something the article doesn't mention, and something that my roommate has a good valid point and is right about, that each airline can come up with its own rules when it comes to emotional support animals, because emotional support animals don't fall. There's a very small section about emotional support animals under ADA law. Let's just put it that way. Well, it's not like real small, but just like a couple paragraphs. Airlines will make up their own rules because they're not stepping on toes with emotional support animals. Service animals, on the other hand, there's guidelines they have to follow as a business. There's certain information they can ask and require. Also, it depends on where you're flying. If you're flying out of country, you're going to have a whole bunch of documentation for your dog anyway. Whether your dog is riding with you in the cabin or going underneath the plane, there's a fuck ton of paperwork that has to be done. That's different. Something completely different. So, Hank, you brought up a really valid point there. Yeah, it'd be like a service dog without tasks at that point. So that was kind of my point. Like, you're getting up there with a service dog. It's a fine line. Yeah, you're right, Prince. They are very beneficial to their handlers or their owners. Their emotional support dogs are, but a lot of times they do more damage than good.
Because if you're taking your untrained dog on a plane at 30,000 feet and it's going to start freaking out and, barking at everybody and everything and wanting to go after anything it sees, that's just going to cause you way more emotional stress than support. I can only imagine what was happening to this person with this. I mean, granted, I don't know where they got their information from, but I'm assuming they did some kind of research to find out a dog was running through an airplane at 30,000 feet spraying diarrhea. So, or they could have just made that up. Who knows? It's the news. It's a paper. You would hope that this was coming from this came from the New York Times, and this supposedly happened out of Washington. So, who knows?
I would personally like
For ESAs, or at least should have completed basic obedience to fly and home. Yeah, I agree. I feel like emotional support animals should have completed some kind of basic obedience course, whether that's through a local pet store or with a training group. Um, basic obedience, maybe even advanced obedience. Because I know, depending on where you're going to go, there are different places that would have different stages of training. So,
I would agree.
a basic obedience at least completed in order to fly. Or travel by bus or train. Because we do have Amtrak here in the States. It goes all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. That's a 4-day ride. There's Greyhound buses too that go all the way across country, all over the country. So, if you're going by a bus and you're going to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast, that's like roughly about 6 days, depending on how far west you're going. So, if you have a dog that has no obedience and you're taking it cross country with you, I have a feeling that you're going to end up halfway through the drive rethinking your decision. Are they ESA friendly? I would have to look. I don't believe buses are, to be honest with you, because I had someone recently was getting on a Greyhound with their service dog, and they had an issue there. So I do not think that trains are different. Trains go up there with airplanes. I'm pretty sure you can have an emotional support on a train, but I'm not 100% sure.
So this is all information
that I can look up and get back to you guys with if you want. This is where I wish I had my laptop right here with me or whatever, and I could just be like, hey, let me look this up real quick.
Yes, please. Yeah. Hey, what?
Do me a favor, bud. Look up and see if you can have emotional support animals on Amtrak trains or Greyhound buses. I don't think you can. The train maybe, but not the bus.
So my roommate
is a writer. It's a part-time job that she took, and she researches. She gets these different subjects, and she researches them, and then writes an article. And it's articles you see like on like the Daily News, or not the videos, not the video ones, like actual articles that you click on, like on Facebook, that people share and you read, and it pops up. Not okay, so not the Daily News. I don't know. Pops up. What's the other one? The Daily Mail. Daily Mail, like that. The Daily Mail.
Things like that.
Anyway, she's good at what she does. So if anybody's gonna find some information on that, it's gonna be her.
Thoughts, opinions,
questions at this point. I feel like I'm doing a lecture or something. It's weird.
They consider them pets, and they fit under the pet rule, and you're allowed to have them as long as they're up to 20 or under 20 pounds on Amtrak.
Okay, so Amtrak, which is the train, considers them pets. Okay, emotional support animal would be a pet.
As well as police dogs, except and search and rescue dogs, unless they're there to work.
So what?
So does it say? So as long as they're under 20 pounds or a police search and rescue dog.
They basically say,
So does that mean it goes underneath or goes in or wherever they keep luggage, or are you?
It doesn't really say.
It doesn't specify.
Not really. It says following types of animals are considered pets and are welcome on Amtrak as long as they fit into the carry-on pet guidelines. Comfort animals, search and rescue dogs, and police dogs. And it says animals that are generally trained but not assist a certain passenger for search and rescue. Other than dogs brought on planes by Amtrak police.
Okay, so basically they're saying they meet pet guidelines for Amtrak. So that means that they would have to be in some kind of container or carrier. And they said 20-pound limit. So you're looking at a.
You have to pay for them. And you have to pay for them $26.
$26. And they have to be under 20 pounds. So you're looking at like a beagle-sized dog or less. Not a fat beagle. A beagle-sized dog or less. And they made it sound like it has to be in a carrier. So it's going to be in a crate of some kind. So Amtrak, no, for emotional support, it sounds like you can't just have it out there with you. It'd have to be in a carrier. And you're paying a $26 pet fee. So, whereas service animals, does it say anything on service animals? Probably the usual. Never mind, you're good. So
Service animals would be
something different. So that was Amtrak. That's the train. I will look up, or I don't know. Are you looking up?
What's the other one?
Greyhound.
I know I saw something.
Something about service animals on there, but I didn't see anything about emotional support.
So do they do under the ADA? Service dogs for
The train, yeah, they would have to go in accordance with ADA. These emotional support, no.
I like how they put it.
FC.
Customers with disabilities.
FAC. I'm not
Sure on that, Prince.
But as far as
The Amtrak goes, no, with the pet.
They really don't say.
Yeah,
Other than, they talk about. Yeah, they really don't say. You have to email them pretty much. It's ada.support.greyhound.com. So I'm assuming that just by that, I don't think they're gonna allow ESAs on there.
right.
Wait, I might have found something. Let me keep looking.
all right. So she's
Still looking, but it sounds like for Greyhound that they are not accepting of emotional support animals. They list on their website ADA. Looks like they're referencing the ADA for like a service animal of some sort. So, which I know within the last, I want to say maybe 5 years, it could have been more. They did get sued for for someone not being allowed on with their service animal. So that's probably why they have the ADA posted on there now.
I remember hearing about it.
So
Your granddad worked
for Amtrak for almost 30 years. Cool.
Yeah, according to Amtrak.
It's got to be 20 pounds or less, and it's got to be in a carrier. for emotional support animal. It has to stay in a carrier.
Hello, people that are.
Popping in and out.
I know there are some of you.
You here who thought it was going to be like actual tea, like really good tea, like something going on in my personal life or something. No, I just wanted to talk about an article that I saw in the paper. Actually, Rachel pointed it out to me. So, I don't know. I'll get back to you guys on the greyhound with the service animal. I'm going to, but I'm not going to do it on camera because it's unrelated. So, that's that, guys. If
You like
this kind of live, let me know. Either in comments or something like that, where we just kind of sit and discuss. And I'll try and find more articles like this, and I'll do more lives where I'm talking about these different articles in relation to service animals, and give my opinion, and you guys can give your opinion. Awesome, Prince. Thank you for liking that. So, I'm gonna close out for today, guys. I hope you guys have a happy Monday and a good start to your week. Reach
out to me.
if you need to chat about anything. Most of you know how to get a hold of me if need be. That would be via Instagram or my email. So we will talk to you guys later. Have an awesome day. See you next time.